Hey guys, it's time for a brand new Spotlight on. I have Deobia Oparei here. We have lots to talk about. Stick around.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello and welcome to a brand new Spotlight on. I'm your host, Yael Tygiel. I am joined by a hard-working man. Deobia, welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
I love that you chose this song.
I love it. It's one lyric,
Yeah.
but there's just something about it, just kind of, you know.
I like the dancing.
Thank you. It's all shoulders right now, but I got some good footwork.
Yeah, because you're a dancer.
I used to dance, in Australia about another life, yeah.
I heard it was stripping. Is that it?
You know what? They got that completely wrong.
Great, let's set it straight.
Okay, let's set it straight. No, Daily Mail, I wasn't a stripper.
Well, I'm really disappointed now.
I went to Australia and I got into dance, which I loved, and then I formed an avant-garde theatre company. Mm-hmm. And it just so happened that most of the plays that we did, I ended up naked.
Oh.
But I wasn't stripping.
I see. No, those are very different.
It was very different, yeah. I come from this kind of very cloistered Royal Shakespeare Company, Royal National Theatre kind of career in the UK. And I got to Australia and I just completely wanted to break free. And I wanted to discover what it was like to kind of be more of a performing artist than an actor. That fourth wall kind of came down and I did street shows. I really kind of changed my life at that point.
Yeah, and you do a lot of theater. You wrote a show.
I wrote a play called Crazy Black Motherfucking Self.
Yeah.
Excuse me, can I say
you've said
too
it,
late.
It's fine.
Too late. It was a play about identity, race, class, sexuality and identity, and it was set in London I wrote it about 2004, 2005, and it debuted at a brilliant theatre called the Royal Court Theatre in London, and that was my first play, and it kind of launched me as a playwright. I never thought that I was going to write plays, but that play kind of just came out of me.
What inspired the name of that play?
What inspired the name of that play? For me, the name was about looking at oneself, and the idea of the play, Crazy Black Mother Bleep Self, was about those parts of our identity that are so universal, those parts of our identity that we might be ashamed of, we might be embarrassed about. This play was about 8 characters in search of their identity, and they were from all different races and social backgrounds, and it was a comedy and a dramedy, and it kind of. I was really hungry to kind of create my own stories.
Yeah.
And when I wrote that play, it just kind of flowed out of me. It took me 3 months to write it, and it just flowed out of me.
Wow.
It was based around a rehearsal. These group of actors are rehearsing a ghetto fabulous version of Othello, and they call it Yo Thello. And it was based around that. It was crazy, but it was good.
That's amazing. Do you continue to write?
I do. I've just finished another play, and I'm commissioned at the Royal Court, and I'm late with my commission. But yeah, I continue to write. I love writing. That was my first love for me, was writing. I started off kind of very young, doing youth theatre, and the youth theatre I went to when I was growing up was in a very poor part of London, and it was run by these kind of radical feminists, and they love Chekhov, they love Grotowski, they love the kind of very dour, somber Eastern European kind of writers, and that was my food from 13 onwards. So my pop stars or my sports stars were Bertolt Brecht, and Anton Chekhov, and that was my diet for many years. And then I got into mainstream theatre, then I got into film.
Yeah. So you got into film. You were in Moulin Rouge.
I was.
I want to talk about Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I have this very distinct memory of you in Moulin Rouge, in the sequin vest, carrying Satine.
Yeah.
Oh, how fun was that?
It was fantastic. Well, firstly, Baz Luhrmann is a genius.
Yeah.
And that whole experience was like this huge kind of dream. I was actually in London at the time at the Royal National Theatre doing a play called Troilus and Cressida. and I'd auditioned for the play back in London and sent the tape, and Baz had loved the tape and had given me the part. I flew over. And you know, from start to finish, you know, it was this. He's an incredibly meticulous artist, and you know, he would fly in this material from Mumbai because it had the right dye or the right color. You know, he couldn't find it in Sydney, so he flew it in from Mumbai. But it was great working with Nicole Kidman. You know, there was a scene in the film where she falls from the swing. She swings on the swing, and I have to catch her, and she was great. It was awesome.
Life couldn't be better, right? What do you do every day? I catch
Nicole Kidman.
What a crazy...
Who, by the way, has the most incredible body. I mean, like, wow. What? Yeah. Amazingly fit. Amazing. And she's literally in heels, my size, and I'm 6'6". And in heels, she is my height. And this lithe, very strong body. But that whole movie was great. I mean, you know, working with Ewan McGregor, who knew he could sing?
Yeah.
I mean, who knew he had that kind of voice, you know, in that body? It was great.
As an audience member, it was very surprising. Do you have any favorite memories aside from catching her?
I think there was a moment when I had been asked to perform, because I was also still dancing then, and I had been asked to perform at the Mardi Gras festival in Sydney at that time, and it was this kind of huge affair, and they'd offered me this number and these great dancers, and it was great. Everybody wanted to come. Nicole wanted to come. Ewan McGregor wanted to come, and I remember Ewan dressing up and coming along and watching me perform. I mean, that was really, really great. That was fantastic.
Baz is supposed to be he's a genius director. Is there something that you learned from him that you've carried?
He has this motto, and his motto is, a life lived in fear is a life half lived. And he lives by that. And that was something that he would say a lot to us as a company and to me personally, and it really inspired me as an artist, as a human being, to always live my best life, to always, you know, be fearless. I mean, he literally lived by that. Every day he would come on set and he would empower the lead actor, the support actors, and the background actors. He made everyone feel like everyone had a stake in the story. And, you know, at the end of the week when we were watching the dailies, we were watching some of the shots, he would invite everyone, and he would court a lot of people's opinions, including the cleaners in the studio.
Wow.
He would say, come, watch the film. I want your opinion because you're going to watch this movie. You're going to be the one paying that price of the ticket, sitting in that movie theater, watching my film. I want to see what you think about my film. And I learned so much from that man. I really, he's got a great humility, but he also has this incredible kind of artist acumen. He's very sharp.
Yeah. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
So you were
Arya Hota.
Yes. So terrifying.
Yeah.
I like the idea. In my head, you go from Le Chocolat on
Le Chocolat,
to
Arya Hota.
That's in my head.
Well, you know what? I started off, as I said, in theatre, and I got my first theatre job when I was like 17, 18, and it was with this very popular Scottish theatre company. It was for the Edinburgh Theatre Festival, and I thought it was a fluke that I had been hired for, and I was so scared that I was going to be fired. And I got the play, and suddenly in this play I had 7 characters, and I was like in my head, how am I going to play 7 characters? So from 17 I kind of got into this whole thing that every character had to be different. So it kind of developed ranging me. You know, I developed a very strong range. So I always approach material with a sense of, well, you know, it may be a 5'6" white woman, but I can play her with good makeup. But it just, in terms of different characters, it kind of got me in that space of going, you know, being an actor for me was about being a chameleon. It was about having range. It wasn't about playing one type of role. And
you absolutely do that. I mean, we have Pirates of the Caribbean, we have Alien, we have so many amazing, you know, diverse things.
Right,
You're so talented.
Thank you.
So before we get to what's happening now, because there's also more to talk about. I want to talk about Game of Thrones a little bit.
Yeah, Game of Thrones was a really great experience. I mean, to be on, you know, the most successful show on television, to work with Dan B. Weiss and David Benioff, the showrunners, the writers, and the cast was really great. I mean, when I first got the gig, the job, I was really happy, but also very nervous, because we were walking into this kind of extremely successful monolith. And I was like, you know, how are the rest of the cast going to be with us? Are they going to be like, oh, you know, we formed all our friendships, you're the outsiders, you're the newbies? But it really wasn't like that at all. Nicole Kidman, who plays Jaime Lannister, was in most of my scenes in season 5, and was a great actor to work with.
That's amazing. Do you have a favorite memory from Game of Thrones?
A favorite memory from Game of Thrones? I mean, the locations were amazing. You know, we shot a lot, because I was in Dawn, that storyline was shot in the Alcazar Palace in Seville in Spain, and that palace is incredible. It's absolutely beautiful. And funnily enough, I'm also in another show for NBC that I just finished shooting last year, end of last year, and we kind of, am I giving that away? I probably shouldn't, but we shot in the same palace.
All right.
I better not say what the show is now.
We will keep an eye out for something in a palace in Spain.
But it's an incredible location. Yeah, one of the best locations I've ever shot on.
That's amazing. Did you watch the show before you? I mean, because it is, as you said,
it was very hard for me to watch, because every time I saw it, somebody I knew or had worked with popped up in it. So, you know, Charles Dance, you know, who was in it. And I had worked with Charles on my first movie, Alien 3. With David Fincher, and so every single time I turn on the TV, there was a friend or a colleague in it, and I was like, come on already, it's my turn, you know, I want to be able to audition for the show. And then when it happened, I just felt really happy.
That's awesome. Do you have any theories as a viewer about what's happening on the show?
No, I think this is a really great season. Obviously, you know, I'm very sad to have died so early.
I was really disappointed.
Season. I was really disappointed. But, you know, that's the show.
Right.
You know, that's, you know, when you sign up for a show like that, heads are going to roll. And you just come into work every day thinking, please don't let it be mine.
When did you know that you were not making it?
I found out a few months before the summer, before we started shooting the season.
Okay, so you were aware.
Well, I was actually on Independence Day. I was shooting Independence Day.
Right.
So it kind of, and you know, it was such a kind of rigorous shoot, Independence Day, lots of night shoots. And so it kind of didn't really register, because I was knee deep into that story and playing Dikembe. It wasn't until after I'd finished Independence Day, and I actually went off to Australia, and it kind of all sunk in. You know, I put my bags down, and I was in this hotel in Sydney, and I was like, oh, I died. Oh. You know?
Well, let's talk about Independence Day. 20 years in the making. Everyone's been waiting for the sequel.
Right.
Is that intimidating to be part of such a iconic movie?
I think it's not so much intimidating as it is exciting. You know, it's really exciting, and for me, it really, working on it, lived up to that hype. I mean, working with Roland was an incredible magic carpet ride. I mean, he's a brilliant director, and you know, it really kind of stretched, I think, all of us. He's very demanding in terms of what he demands from you as an actor, in terms of the character, and just the whole kind of environment. Working with Jeff Goldblum was fantastic. I mean, the first day on set, of course, you have first day nerves, and he brought on set Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. And I remember there was me sitting there, Charlotte Gainsbourg, Liam Hemsworth, and he went to each of us and he gave us roles. And in between breaks of filming, he sat with us and we read these different roles from Death of a Salesman. And what a great way to make everyone bond, to make everyone feel like we were on the same team, to make everyone relaxed. I just thought that was so classy. So for the first 3 days, we were kind of doing Independence Day and Jeff Goldblum's production of Death of a Salesman.
That's amazing. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's a great man.
Oh man, I saw you posted a clip on your Instagram.
Yeah.
From Independence. I'm so excited. And it's you and Jeff Goldblum.
Yes, and Charlotte.
Yeah.
Charlotte Gainsbourg, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the scene that you teased?
So the scene that I teased, or the clip that came out, is set in, it's when Charlotte and Jeff come to Dumbutu. And Dumbutu is this fictional African country where Dikembe, my character, is the leader of. And my people, because we have had... My people, because I'm just loving my voice on this microphone. Because we had this kind of fight with the aliens after the first movie, we've developed this kind of condition called the ARC, the Alien Residual Condition. It's kind of where we go a bit schizoid and crazy. So Dikembe has called in Dr. Catherine Marceau, Charlotte's character, and to investigate, what this is. And that scene is when they come into Dikembe's house and they start to make all these different connections. The script is really good. It's a really good script.
Were there any parts that you were incredibly confused?
In terms of...
Because it's so sci-fi and technical, and...
I think the rehearsals were really well laid out in terms of when we had like a few days of rehearsal or a week of rehearsal before we actually started filming. And also kind of... Jeff was really great. He would tell the story of the movie, but all the way through from beginning to end. So he was able to kind of, and I was around him quite a lot, and I would just hear him he would just tell people the story of Independence Day resurgence from beginning to end. So we all kind of had a sense of where we were. And just before we would go on for a take, he would kind of reiterate, this is day 3 and this has happened and the stakes are here and we feel like this and action, so we all kind of, it was like daddy storyteller, we kind of all stayed abreast of where we were. But it's a big story. Definitely, and characters have huge dramatic arcs in this movie. So it was a challenge to keep a hold of that, especially when you shoot out of sequence. But everyone had a kind of real diligence about keeping, a mind set on where we were at what point.
And if they didn't, they had Jeff Goldblum.
And if they didn't, they had Jeff backstage going, "It's day 4."
I now imagine every set going, "We need a Jeff Goldblum."
We need a Jeff Goldblum, yeah. I think the world needs a Jeff Goldblum, yeah.
And so you have also this NBC Secret Project coming out.
Oh, yeah.
That's all we know. Do you have other projects that you can tease us about?
I've got things coming up, but I can't tease you about them yet.
All right, then.
I've got such a big mouth that once I start talking, it just goes... And you've got the kind of face that, there's a certain kind of face that you want to tell the story to. You have that face.
Thanks. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And for telling us all the secrets. So we have all of them now. Why don't you tell people where they can find you on Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff?
Yes, so you can find me on Twitter at Deobia. I'm on Facebook, same Deobia Oparei, and Instagram.
You want to spell your name out for people?
My name's spelled Deobia.
Awesome. And you can find me online at yael.tv. That's YAEL.tv. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, everything at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. And we will see you next time for more here at AfterBuzz. Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.